And Proft, and we are joined in studio right now by the Illinois GOP Chairman Tim Schneider. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate it.
Hey, I'm really glad to be with you guys this morning, and happy Halloween.
Oh, yeah, it's wonderful. How was it outside? You were outside before or after we were.
It's got to be cold in that little Bo Peep outfit you're wearing.
Well, and I wanted to thank you guys for dressing up for me
Yeah,
this morning. It's
exactly.
really nice. Thanks. You must have known I was coming, but isn't it interesting? Today's Halloween, and I find that Illinois is probably the only state in the nation where graveyards are more synonymous with Election Day than they are with Halloween.
There you go.
There you go.
There you go. That's right.
So yesterday the Sun-Times had this poll which showed it's a statistical dead heat between Quinn and Rauner, but it was interesting because it had Rauner and even Oberweis leading among women, which is something of a surprise, and also that downstate a lot of otherwise Republicans seem to have problems with the socially liberal views of Bruce Rauner. What did you make of that poll?
Well, I think the polls have been crazy up and down throughout this whole campaign. We saw the Tribune come out with that poll where Governor Quinn was 11 points ahead a month ago, and then here they run another one where he's 2 points, where Rauner's 2 points ahead. None of this seems to make a lot of difference. I think this is really a statistical dead heat, this election, and I think the only poll that's really important, as Bruce says and what I say, is a poll on Election Day, and it's my job and the job of the entire Illinois Party and people who want to change and get rid of the status quo and change this government, become pro-business, pro-growth, and eliminate the permanence of this 67% income tax increase that has taken 1 week's pay out of everyone's pockets here in Illinois. I think those people want to change, and I think we're going to see that happen on Election Day.
Well, if it's a turnout game, and there's been much talk about the investment that Rauner has made, the campaign has made, the state party's made in the turnout modeling, the turnout infrastructure. So tell us a little bit about that, and if there are people that want to get involved in helping to turn people out in the next 96 hours, how can they do that?
Well, I'm not going to open up the whole GOP playbook,
Well,
because you may have a few of the Dems listening to the show because you're remarkably well listened to, but I do want to say that we have the best get out the vote program that the state has seen in decades, and we have thousands of volunteers throughout the state that are helping us get people to the polls and people that want to change this state around. And we're down at the bottom. Cranes has us 49th out of 50 in business business climate. All the states around us, we have 100,000 less jobs today than we had before the recession in Illinois. All the states around us have more jobs than we had before the recession. So,
see, I didn't read this in Eric Zorn's perspective today on why I'm voting for Pat Quinn. He points out his first thing, the big ticket thing, is that the number of state employees has fallen by 4,000. Isn't that a banner to rally behind?
Well, think about the County of Cook, which has less employees than the state of Illinois. We've dropped 3,500 since I've been a Cook County Commissioner. So I think the state of Illinois could go a little bit further in delving into that. But they're gonna make things twist to the way they want to. Pat Quinn says the unemployment rate is down in Illinois. When you really delve into it and look into it, you find that that's really not true. People have left the workforce. People have left the state of Illinois looking for work elsewhere because all of our businesses are leaving the state of Illinois and our jobs are leaving. But what we're telling, getting back to your question, Dan, is I'd like to have your listeners, we've got 4 days to bang this out, and we're asking people to go to onerepublican.gop, O-N-E, republican.gop, if they care to volunteer here in these last 4 days, because it's really, really important to the state of Illinois and growing this economy back to elect Bruce Rauner and Republicans up and down the ticket next Tuesday.
Talking about the mechanics a little bit, how concerned are you about voter fraud? We've heard stories about machines that are not properly calibrated. We also have these anomalies this year that Democrats in the General Assembly passed, like same-day registration in certain quote-unquote high-traffic areas around the state. Is voter fraud a big concern, something you're game planning for?
It's a real big concern of ours, and we're seeing it go on right now. We're seeing out in Rock Island County and in Danville where clerks are opening up absentee ballots early when they've been told you can't open up absentee ballots until Election Day or after the polls close, as our Attorney General has recommended. So, and they're not allowing poll watchers, our poll watchers, to watch them open up those ballots. We're also seeing calibration errors. We have a candidate for state representative in Schaumburg, Jim Moynihan, who actually went to cast a ballot for himself, and it was cast for his Democratic opponent. We've seen the same thing happen out in Rock Island County, and the clerk out there has said she's recalibrated those machines, but however, we have affidavits from that point forward from people who say that their Republican ballot was cast for a Democrat. So it's very concerning to us that these calibration errors continue to occur, as well as these clerks that want to defy the law and open ballots prior to Election Day.
And will you help illegals who want to vote for Republicans usher them to the polling place like the Democrats apparently are doing, according to the James O'Keefe video?
Well, it's our job to make sure this is a fair, a transparent, and accurate election, and I think that's what we're driving. We want people who didn't come to the polls 4 years ago and see what they've had for the last 4 years come to the polls in this election and say, hey, we've seen what's happened in the last 4 years of failed policies and broken promises of the Quinn administration, and we need a change in the state of Illinois. So we're driving all of our voters to the polls and trying to make this as fair, open, and accurate a process as we possibly can. And I would just like to mention, if I throw in a plug, if anyone sees something different going on in the polling places, say something and go to our website, TIPS, T-I-P-S, at ilgop.org and report it, and we'll get on it right away.
Because you'll have attorneys on standby and others that can make sure that this information gets to the proper authorities and that it doesn't go undealt with.
Yeah, you won't have to call your clerk's office and wait 3 or 4 days for somebody to return. We have hundreds of lawyers that are going to be working with us over from now until Election Day that will be able to have the resources to get on these cases right away.
Then you're quicker than the Chicago Department of Health with regard to monitoring anybody who was in West Africa and was exposed to Ebola. We appreciate that. Tim Schneider, Illinois GOP Chairman, thanks for coming in.
It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you, guys.